Hey, Wemberg World Entertainment, and the name is Cavill, Henry Cavill. Not my name, his name. Yeah, we're talking about Henry Cavill and James Bond again because Henry Cavill has now officially weighed in on the whole idea of being James Bond, and unfortunately, he has now confirmed that, yeah, he probably won't be Bond. However, he does have a different idea, which is equally as interesting. The reason though he gives for why he won't be Bond, it sucks. And quite frankly, it's stupid. But let's have a look at this. So, it's saying Henry Cavill has seemingly ruled himself out as the new James Bond, but he's not closing the door on the franchise entirely. In a new interview with Heat magazine, Cavill said he doesn't think he's the right age to launch a fresh run as 007. Now this is the part that sucks, but is also stupid. So he said this in that interview: I didn't turn the role down, it just wasn't the right time. What actor wouldn't love to be Bond? But at 42, I'd probably be considered a bit old to start now. He then added, I would love to be a Bond villain though. If it was the right character, I think that would be fascinating to explore. So there's the interesting part. He's ruling himself out as Bond, but he's not ruling himself out as being a Bond villain. That's interesting. The 42 thing, I think this is stupid. When you think, I'm pretty sure Daniel Craig was 45 when he began in Casino Royale. Could be wrong with that, but I'm pretty sure he was about 44, 45. Most of the actors were all older when they started. The thing about having Bond, especially being like in the start of your 40s, is, for me, I think that's perfect. Now obviously it runs the thing of, well, how quickly can you turn the movies around, you know, as opposed to like Daniel Craig. He probably had the longest gaps between each movie. It was like a movie would come out, you're waiting 4 years for the next one. I think between Spectre and what's the last one, No Time to Die, it was like almost a 7-year gap or something. It was ridiculously long. That's where the age becomes an issue. Without that, it's not an issue, because you need James Bond to know what he's doing. You need him to be, for the lack of a better word, seasoned in what he does. He needs to have the experience and stuff like that. Throwing in a very young Bond doesn't particularly work that way for me. I don't want to see a Bond tripping over his own feet again. It really doesn't need to be that. And from the sounds of things, when you hear him saying, I don't think it's the right time, I'm 42 now, and yada yada yada, the issue I take with that is that sounds like it's his agent. Maybe the agent put feelers out that actually see if Amazon would bite and go, yeah, we would definitely consider Henry as Bond. And maybe the response back was, we're going for someone in their late 20s, maybe early 30s. And they've come back and said that to him, to say like, you might want to make a statement about this. Because it's funny that when he first auditioned, he actually auditioned when he was like 25 or something for Casino Royale. And it turned out he was too young and didn't have the experience and stuff like that. And now they're saying he's aged out of the role. Which then you're telling us, so the only viable option for someone to play Bond is in your 30s. That's it. And that's ridiculous. So the idea though of him being a villain in Bond, that would be cool as well. Problem is though, you'd probably only have him for the one movie. And like, if he blows the doors off the performance and stuff, you're gonna find it very hard to live up to his performance going forward. Just look at what happened with Mission Impossible. Him in Fallout was the standout, and then the next movies, people are like, yeah, the villains aren't quite living up to Henry Cavill, are they? But it says here anyway, of course, this isn't the first time Cavill's name has been tied to Bond. He was one of the actors in the mix years ago, before Daniel Craig landed Casino Royale, so the speculation has followed him for a long time. Now Cavill himself is making it sound like the Bond role has passed him by. At the same time, his comments about playing a villain could instantly spark new interest, as plenty of fans would probably line up to see Cavill show up on the other side of 007. The timing of Cavill's comments also stand out because Amazon MGM's Bond reboot remains one of Hollywood's biggest casting mysteries. Rumours have recently linked names like Jacob Elordi and Colm Turner to the role, but a reported talent agent told The Wrap that anything being said right now is premature until a script is finished and proper screen tests happened. There has also been chatter that the studio wants to go younger with the next Bond, with speculation pointing to someone in their late 20s to early 30s range. Which, again, I don't like that idea, because name me an actor in their late 20s, early 30s that has the look, build and stature of James Bond. Like, seriously. So, it says that would obviously make Cavill an unlikely choice for a full reboot, even if he still looks the part. And, like, how stupid is that the guy is the perfect fit? He's got the charisma, he's got the charm, he's got the aggression, he's got the size, he's got the stature, he's got the look. And they're like, nah, you're 42, dude. No room for you at the end. It's like, really? Like, you're going to sacrifice your perfect casting choice on someone everybody wants because he's 42. Well, every other movie of James Bond, the actor has been pretty much mid to late 40s. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So Cavill as Bond may be off the table, but Cavill as a Bond villain is a different story. Honestly, that might be the more interesting option at this point. He has the screen presence, the physicality and the polish to play a major 007 bad guy, especially in a reboot where Amazon appears to be looking for a fresh start. So while Henry Cavill may be out as James Bond, he may have just pitched himself for the next best thing. So again, the idea of him being told you're too old to play Bond, ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. He should be Bond, and they should have cast him as Bond ages ago. They shouldn't have been a let's beat around the bush. That should have been as soon as Daniel Craig's run ended and they said we're still moving forward with new James Bonds, Cavill should have been immediately just announced. Oh, by the way, we're relaunching James Bond with Henry Cavill. Everybody would have lost their goddamn minds. People would still probably lose their minds with him being a villain in a Bond movie, especially if he ends up being a recurring villain, so one that doesn't die or anything. But it's just the fact that people are going to look at it and say, like, you were absolutely screwing yourself by not choosing him to be Bond. But if he's going to be a villain, is he going to be a brand new villain, or would he be a villain we've known, like a Dr. No or a Man with the Golden Gun or someone like that? We don't know. This is all speculation. It's Cavill himself now pitching himself to be a villain. So he clearly still very much wants to be a part of the Bond franchise. It just sucks that they've clearly told him this isn't him. Let's be clear about that. This isn't him going, oh, I've aged out of it. This is him being told they're not going to go for you. They think you're too old, which is ridiculous. But what do you guys think? Would you still prefer to see him as Bond, or would you accept and be interested in seeing him as a Bond villain? Do let me know what you think about this. And of course, do you think he's being told you've aged out, or do you think he himself has just went, I've aged out? Let me know what you feel about that. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like and share and subscribe and all that good stuff. Cheers. I'll catch you in the next one.